welcome to another episode. And in this episode, I want to talk about self-review and how important it is. Now, self-review, I would just say it as it comes. That's like me using that as a topic. But I think I would just, as usual, just say it as it comes to my mind. Now, we do a lot of things when it comes to adulting or being an adult. We have an idea. Everyone has an idea of what being an adult is about. And that is what we even need to review as it is. Like, these ideas you have of adulting or being an adult, what is its origin? Where did it come from? How did you come up with that thought? Did you come up with it or did you hear it and you believed it? A lot of us are on automation. we're practically being automated to be who we are, and we have not even questioned it. We have not thought about it because it seemed okay, especially when you have a lot of people doing the same thing, so you don't get to question it much because not many people want to stand out or be different. Some of us just want to be quote and unquote normal, and that is even subject to review. Like, what is normal? Is normal what comes naturally to you, or is normal what you see people you like, people you want to align with doing, right? There are some things that people you like, they like to do, or the people you align with what they like to do. And so sometimes you might want to align yourself to that. And that was how you came up with the system around which you have built your life, or the system, your lifestyle. Let's put it that way. What you do in your conscious moments or even your subconscious moments, right? But I think what is the real you is the things you do in your subconscious moments, right? Not necessarily what you do in your conscious moments. Now, self-review requires that you don't just settle for as long as I'm doing a good thing. Now, we're not talking about those who deliberately do the wrong thing. They know it's wrong, but then they throw the question back at you and say, who determines what is wrong, kind of thing, But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about those who know to do good and are doing it. Now, we want to talk about why are you doing it? Now, that might be a subject that many people want to run away from. And because it requires that you practically pull down your wardrobe. It's going to raise dusts, right? Because it's house cleaning, it's spring cleaning, whatever you call it, where you come from. Spring cleaning, house cleaning, rearranging your space, and so on and so forth. Doing a personal inventory, personal inventory, or mostly review, right? You want to check why you are doing what you're doing. Actually, there is a book out there. Can't remember who wrote it now though. Is it Tim? Let me not even try to guess. But there's a book called Why We Do What We Do, or Why You Do What You Do, and Why You Are Who You Are. right? So there is a book, there are bestseller books like that out there with that same topic I just gave, like why you are who you are. So if it's a bestseller and it's out there and people are actually buying it, it means it is important, right? So you are not doing anything abnormal, in quotes, if you're doing a self-review. And like I said, self-review is like dismantling things as you know it to see what is in it, right? It's like when you look at your, well, not your phone, I suppose, but something that has a cover, a beautiful cover and all, and you want to check, you want to see what is inside, you want to know what makes it work the way it works, right? You realize that you have to open it up, I mean, if you go to places where you fix phones, right, you see how they pieces everything, and it's just like, wow. You just look at it and you're like, wow, So it's dismantling it to see how it works and, why it works the way it works, and maybe make adjustments somewhere so that it can be customized to how it's required or is needed to work in its new environment, or just rewire it, period. Now when it comes to yourself, that is something you have to do, because it's not enough to just look at yourself and say, well, I'm doing a good thing and that's that about that. No, that is being deliberately religious, and being religious is when you don't question what you do and you just do it. It's not because you want to drop that thing. This is a good thing to do, but you want to check why you are doing it. You want to know why you are doing it. Even as you continue that thing, you're checking why you're doing. Like, your reason for doing something is very important, because it helps you to move from being automated, and it helps you be in touch with yourself, right? So you're not just moving about like a machine and you're just programmed to do something. You want to, like I said, be in touch with your humanity, with the who you are as a person. It also helps you to understand yourself better, and I understand that is a place many don't want to go to, because it's a messy journey. Review is a messy journey. It can get messy, and it, like I said, it raises a lot of dust, especially when you have never reviewed yourself before. So there are so many rusty places that needs to be oiled, because they have been jammed closed for a long time. So you haven't checked it before, and so you just have to oil those places and dust those places and remove the cobwebs and switch on the lights, so that you can really see what makes you tick, the Bible says something in the love chapter. It's either 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, or if you're reading KJV, the charity chapter. And it talks about all these good things, all these great things that you do, and you leave a name for yourself, things that you do that puts you on the map of time, things that you do that, once you do those things, it just, like, you become an unforgettable entity, whether for better or for worse, but in this case for better, right? And it talks about if you sacrifice your life for other people and you do superhuman things, right? But you don't have love, you have nothing, right? So, like, I don't know what is not to love about the Bible, I think it's, when people say they don't like the Bible, they have something against the Bible. I think it's just a sign of somebody that is in self-denial, because it forces you to confront the truth. That's what the Bible does. It compels you to face the truth every time. The Bible is a book of truth, It forces you to look behind everything and look through everything, right? I mean, you look at the events that the Bible records, and you if you think about it deeply, you realize that the information we have in the Bible was not available to people at the time of that event. It wasn't available to everybody at the time of that event. Something like, I don't know, let me see, maybe Hannah, for example, right? When she was, praying and asking for a man child, I don't think she came out and said to everybody, this is what I said. This is what the prophet said. But we're reading about it. Like, more people know about what she said, the mood she was in when she said it, who was there or who wasn't there when she was saying these things. Like, we know more about it than everybody else at the time of that story knows about it. So the Bible forces you to look at all the nuances, the layers, the sides, the behind the scenes, the behind, the internal workings of every situation. And as you meditate on God's word, it opens more, because meditation, let me put it to you this way. Meditation is like you activating a time machine. That's what it is. It is activating a time machine. That is what meditation is like. When you are knocking on the door of time, because you need more information about that particular thing. And so you are knocking on the door of that time. And so you meditate long enough about it, and things that are not necessarily in the Bible but are implied about that situation begins to open to you, and you begin to get an inkling, like, oh, so this was what happened then, this is what happened now, and so on and so forth. And that's how I think the retelling of the Bible stories came about. Meditation. They meditated to the point where, of course, they meditated to the point where they got inspired to go and check some history book somewhere, or they just got that information and they say, oh, we added it for fiction purpose. But is it really fiction though? I don't believe that there is really make-believe. There is make-believe, but I think by the end of the day, you realize that this thing really happened. I may not be able to prove it, but it happened this way, even if it's not on record that is how it did happen. You understand? So it's the same thing with you. You gotta really look behind the scenes of what you're doing. Don't just, like, this is you updating yourself, There's plenty to learn about, our devices. I just updated the apps on my phone. And I remember that at some point I was even looking like, why is this? And you notice that when you're updating your phone, it takes data. It takes time. Oh, not to mention it takes more space. So at the end of the day, what does an update do for you? It expands you. It broadens you. It makes you bigger than, like, it's not a bigger per se. It increases who you are. It increases you, period. That's why you download an app of maybe, let's say, 10 MB, and in a space of a year, if you update it and you look at the storage of that thing, you notice that it's probably expanded to 100 MB plus cache sometimes, or even minus cache. And the thing about updating an app is that if you don't update it, you'll be having problems with it. It won't work well. Oh, we can argue, and I see the point in that one. We can argue that, it's just a way to get us to spend money. And it's a way to, get us to spend money and all of that. That's what I thought. And frankly speaking, some apps are actually like that, where you are just, it's just as if they're just taking, wasting your time and stuff. And I always wondered, why do you even need an update? It's not a fun thing to do, believe me, but it's necessary if you don't want trouble on your phone or your device. It's necessary for you to update. So it's something we do because we need to do. Now, how I wish we did that with our lives as well, where we review every areas of our life, we update every area of our life and fix the bugs, because I just think, let me even see, because sometimes when there is an update, they give you reasons or benefits or the why for that particular update. And I checked one once and it stuck with me. Well, not really stuck with me like that. That gave me a better positive understanding, so to speak, of why the updates are necessary. And despite the fact that I don't really like it, I still do it. Is that, I kept saying things like fixing bugs and, increasing or updating its security apparatus. So I realized that it is for the safety of myself, my information, my phone, if I update the app. Because there is always something, bugs out there, which are like diseases and all out there, that are trying to latch themselves on these apps and wreak havoc on information and in other ways people's lives, because these are things you use for the important stuff in your life. And if that information leaks or is used wrongly, or is harvested and used wrongly, or it begins to malfunction, or you don't find it again or something, it becomes a problem, a real problem. And you now begin to wonder, how do I even go about this? So, like, most of us, when we hear updates, we feel, I don't want to do another course again. I don't want to do another reading again. No, it's not about reading. It's about scanning, right? I also remember I scanned, and I do that often, because I realize that when I scan the apps, is to confirm that the update that is being done is not one done out of mischief. It's not promising security, but actually breaching security kind of thing. So it's like a confirmation that, okay, it's doing what it says it is doing and not something nefarious, right? So, and I also noticed that when I scan those apps, because I'm using Google Play, obviously. When I scan those apps, the updates, the updates, or the download or the upload or whatever it is it's happening, it becomes faster, right? Because at times you're trying to update your apps and it's just slow. and you've checked and it's not a network problem and you're wondering what is going on. So when I do that, I notice that it's faster. I think it's the phone deliberately slows down those updates because it's like, oh wait, hold on, what is going on here? Like changes are happening here. Is that safe? And so maybe it's slowing it down so that they can really figure it out. But once you scan it, that is like a confirmation that, everybody in the house, this is safe, right? And so the download becomes more seamless, as the case may be. The installation of the updates become, shall we say, faster. You just notice that the percentage is going up or going down, however it is your phone is showing it, until it is fully installed. And this happens like weekly, like at most once every 2 weeks there will be an update on the apps on your phone. It says a lot, right? I think these are learning points that we need to look at and say, when was the last time I updated myself? When was the last time I scanned my life to remove the bugs? I'm not doing this. And like I said earlier, this is not to stop doing the good thing you are doing. The app doesn't stop working because it has been updated. I mean, sometimes you just continue your activities on the application normally without even, and you're just wondering, okay, so what was this about? Sometimes it's just a security check that the update was poor. It's just every now and again you see that, the colors have changed, the interface is different, and maybe they now have a new logo, or you notice that something that you were having difficulties with, it's suddenly resolved, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that thing used to give me issues, but now it's no longer an issue. Or sometimes, like on my Twitter, you go there and you find X. That is so crazy. You go there and you find X, like weird stuff. We really need to even talk about that X thing one of these days, but that's not the topic. Sometimes you go there and you find that your liberties on that app has been reduced. Like now, I can't scan through spaces anymore. Like that button is not even available on the options below. So if I am not following somebody, I cannot be on their space, kind of situation. And there are so many spaces like that I would like to be on, whether I'm following the person or not. So it's kind of weird sometimes. Like, yes, an update will require that some changes have to be made. Very obvious changes. Sometimes the update does not require any changes whatsoever. Like any obvious, like changes have happened, but they are not obvious. But there are times when you may need to change the interface of your life. Sometimes of that aspect of your life rather. And sometimes there's a time when you need to restrain yourself from some things, or completely remove a feature that you enjoy, but it just has to go. And sometimes you remove it. Or maybe the review you have done has shown that this thing you enjoy doing is actually exposing that aspect of your life to danger. And so you now have to weigh the options. Do I keep enjoying this thing while I am vulnerable, or do I remove it so that I can stay safe? So now it's not an issue of choosing between safety and enjoyment. And as you grow in maturity, you understand, you begin to value more security, safety than pleasure, right? As you grow older, not in age per se, the concept of peace begins to make more sense to you. And it just reminds me of Rahab. She was one very matured lady, because it takes maturity to look at your life and decide that, you know what, I want something different, even though I've never experienced it before. I just know that this is not it. There is no way there is peace in being a commercial sex worker. I don't see how that is even possible, for that to even be a peaceful thing. But she seized the opportunity for peace. In fact, she negotiated peace for herself. Right? And of course, the hand of God was in it. God made it possible for her because God saw her heart. You know, it's possible for God to see beyond the filthy life of a person, and God sees the heart, because the heart is like a gem. The purer it is, the shinier it is. And so you find that I like to see the heart as, like I said, gems, right? And not stones. Oh, there we have it. So the Bible talks about the heart of stone and the heart of flesh, right? So I like to think of the heart as not just, stones are stones. Nothing soft about it. Hard stuff. Not shiny either. But I also like to see the heart that is good, that is pure, that it's shiny. When something is clean, it becomes bright for everyone to see, right? So I think in the midst of all of that, she had a pure heart. Don't ask me how possible that is, but she did enough to even think about being part of the holy people, being a holy person, serving God. And in the midst of something so vile, in the midst of a city that is so vile, that heart was shining. And God was like, wait. Is that a gem I see there? Like, that place is disgusting, but something is shining there. And in my imagination, I think God followed that light. And then, bam, he found it in the heart of a harlot who plies her trade on the wall or inside the wall of Jericho. That is interesting. Very interesting. Right? So I see self-review, because she must have reviewed why she was doing what she was doing. And she realized the reasons no longer make sense. And when the reason why you are doing something no longer makes sense, there is a time to change. If it is a bad thing, obviously you will completely change course. But if it's a good thing, all you just have to do is just change internally. Now, there might be nothing physical to show you that, you have updated. Everything might just be going on smoothly, nothing serious and all of that. Like, as you were using it before is how you're using it now. But there has been a change. And sometimes changes build. And that's why you find that you update. Like, have you noticed that when you have not updated an app for a very long time, you cannot jump updates? You update and they will tell you, okay, you have not updated maybe in months, or even, in months. Oh, I had to pause to pray. I sensed rather something negative, and I needed to handle it spiritually through prayers. Okay, so as I was saying, you notice that you can't jump updates. Like if you have missed out or you have refused to update or you didn't update for maybe there had been months and there had been like 4 updates or even 5. How you will know is you want to update. They tell you that you cannot use that app until you update. And you find that you can't even, they don't allow you in. You can't use it because you have not updated. It has been locked to you. And so you have to update so that you can use it. Then you think that, okay, it's just one update and you are done. But then they tell you, oh, you look at it and say, oh, the update takes you like maybe 10 megabytes to update. As soon as that megabyte is off, it goes back to update again. And you're like, but I just updated. Why is it back to update place? Then you update. Maybe this time 30 MB. And then it goes back to update again. Like until you finish, you have to go through that process of updating and updating until it gets to, so it's going to update. So what happens is that where it stopped is where it stopped. It's not jumping. It can't fly over all the other updates to jump to the current one. It has to go through that process as well. Like a tunnel. Or, yeah. It just has to go through it. So that you have to spend time and data and probably even phone battery trying to update something you hadn't updated in months, and you're trying to do it in a day. It might take a while. So you need to like look at that and say, if my applications and my phones need updates, need to check for malware, need to check to make sure that there is no bug somewhere. What about me? When am I going to get a review? When am I going to get an update? So self-review is very key. It's very important. If you're serious about being an adult, it helps you to understand you better, and it helps you. And when you understand yourself better, you function better because you are operating from a place of understanding. Because you are operating from a place of understanding, you function better. You function easier. You get to understand your special way to operate. And that is how you operate. Based on that. Not based on what people are doing. So you can be doing the same thing everybody else is doing, but you now understand why you're doing it. Now, that may change from time to time. It doesn't mean it has to. It may change from time to time, but being self-aware of the why behind your what is very key. It differentiates you between a flesh and blood robot and a human being. It's the difference because you are self-aware. You're not just on automation. Okay, I must wake up at this time, and why must you wake up at this time? It doesn't mean that It doesn't mean that if you wake up 5 a.m. and you review why you wake up by 5 a.m., you won't wake up 5 a.m. the next day. No. It just means that now there is a purpose and you understand what that purpose is. Of course, if you don't find a good reason and you can't think of a good reason why you have to wake up by 5 a.m., well, you can create one, because waking up early is a good thing. It's a good thing. You get to, even if all you do is just, meditate, think. At that moment when it's like everybody else is asleep, that feeling of everybody is awake and you are awake at the same time, it puts you in a rush. But when you are awake when many others are still sleeping, it gives you this global view of yourself. You feel like you are the only one in the world. That feeling is just, there's something very humbling about it. Right? Like you get to see yourself differently. The way you think at that time is also different. So question why you do what you do. Question why you wake up early. Question why you're working the job you're working. Question why you wear certain clothes, why you wear them. Question why you use the accessories you use. Question why you style your hair a certain way. Question why you cut your hair. Question why you wear what you wear. Question those things and then review it. And okay, like I'm wearing shoes. Why should I wear shoes? You understand? Why am I wearing shoes? Am I wearing shoes because everybody's wearing shoes? So why can't I? Why shouldn't I? Like, okay, we wear shoes to protect our feet from dirt and dust and all whatnot. Okay. Do I agree with that? You may agree, you may disagree, right? Why do you disagree? Why do you agree? So, it makes everything you're doing a little bit more important. It places importance on what you're doing. And when importance is placed on what you're doing and it's attached to you in a way because you're doing it for something you understand, it makes you feel important. It boosts your own esteem as a person, right? It boosts your esteem as a person because now you understand the purpose personally on why you're doing the things you're doing. Wow. All right, I'll just put a pause on it for now and say, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. If each one can reach one, then each one can teach one. What a world, what a better country we'll have. Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you are your brother and your sister's keeper. So show love just because. That's a quote from Chasby of blessed memory. And this following ones are from the scripture. They that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So stay sane, stay fearless, be of good courage. I'll be back soon enough for another fresh perspective, another fresh topic, and another fresh musing. Oh, and by the way, in my book club, we are reading The Spear, or is it Spear, by Prince Harry or Harry Windsor. Well, Prince Harry. And so far, it's been interesting. Yeah. If you haven't read it, I recommend that you do. You learned something. Shalom.